Oh, hi there. I didn't see you. Let me grab my bookmark here. By the way, I use my daughter's little Brave thing as my bookmark. Today we're talking about the one website, and others like it actually, that you do not want to be using in your job search. Don't use it. Stay tuned. Hi, welcome to Teach No More, where I help teachers move out of the teaching profession and into a job that lets you take vacation days anytime you want. My name is Sean, and I'm a professional coach. I specialize in helping teachers stop teaching and start living. Today, I'm going to be talking about the one website that you do not want to be using on your job search. Stay tuned to the end of the video, and we'll talk a little bit about the websites that you do want to be using. So, what is the one website that you don't want to be using when you're performing your job search? It's ZipRecruiter. Okay, that's the end of the video. Thank you. I'll see you next time on Teach No More. No, actually, I'm just kidding. But that would be kind of funny if that were the end of the video right there, right? A nice 40-second video. So don't use ZipRecruiter when you are performing your job search. I'm probably going to get a lot of hate from ZipRecruiter fans. If any exist. I can't imagine that there's many that do actually exist. ZipRecruiter is not the only one of its sort out there, but it's probably the most popular. Okay, so why do we not want to use ZipRecruiter? Well, let's first talk about why people do use ZipRecruiter. And in fact, there's coaches out there and other professionals that recommend people to use ZipRecruiter. I could not disagree more. That's the whole point of this video. I think that anyone who recommends ZipRecruiter is giving out bad advice, in my opinion. So why do people like to use ZipRecruiter? Well, there's a few different reasons. One of the main reasons is that it gives you some quick wins. And if there's a coach that's recommending ZipRecruiter, they might be doing it for those quick wins, right? So I was just speaking to someone the other day about how her job search was going, and she said it's going really great. Just in the past week, I had started working with this new coach, taking this online class, and I've already gotten a few interviews set up. And those interviews had come from ZipRecruiter. So it can feel really great to get these quick interviews, these quick wins. I do a lot of jiu-jitsu, and one of the things that is talked about a lot is this idea of this positive reinforcement, right? Whatever you do that works, you tend to start doing it more and more because it feels good. It feels good to have that win. The problem is that when you're just starting out and you have all these different roads and branches going all over the place, you might get that quick win right off the bat. But you don't know if that road is actually a good road to be going down because you don't know what the end result of that road is, right? So ZipRecruiter is a little bit in that way, that it gets you these quick interviews, it gives you some quick wins, but you might not see the end result of this. So when I spoke to this person more, and from my own experience and from research into the industry, I was pretty sure exactly what was happening, and that was kind of confirmed with when we dug into the conversation a bit more. But a lot of these quick wins end up being interviews into an MLM. If you're not familiar with what an MLM is, it goes by a lot of different names these days. Nowadays, if you search on YouTube about how to network or how to use social media to build up your network or something like that, which you might be doing if you're in the job search, you might come upon this term of network marketing. Okay, it's an MLM, it's the same thing. It's similar to a pyramid scheme, but a little bit different. But these are the things where, hey, go out there and sign up 3 of your friends to do the same thing that you do, and then they sign up 3 friends, and then you make money off of everybody, right? That's an MLM. And ZipRecruiter is full of these MLMs. And they are very willing to give out interviews to pretty much anybody and everybody because that's how you get more people into the system, is you just cast a super wide net and once in a while you land that fish, and when you do, well, you've ripped another person off and you can continue moving on, and they kind of, now they're on the hook, they're the sucker that has to deal with all the consequences, right? So this idea of these quick wins that feel good and they lead you down the wrong path. But that's one of the reasons that people use ZipRecruiter, is it gets you these and it feels good, and they say, hey, I got 3 interviews this week. I haven't gotten interviews in 3 months, and now all of a sudden I have 3 interviews. Why would I not use ZipRecruiter more? Why would I not use, and by the way, I say ZipRecruiter because that's the most well-known. There's other job search engines out there. There's other materials out there that do the same thing. ZipRecruiter is simply the most well-known. It's like Nike. So another reason that you might want to do it is because ZipRecruiter advertises a lot of jobs that don't require experience. And for teachers especially, what you probably feel is, I don't have a lot of work experience. I have teaching experience, but that experience doesn't translate into other areas of the business world, right? I don't know how to work in a corporate office, or I don't know what experience or skills or qualifications that are necessary. There's all these jobs out here that ZipRecruiter and other sites like it are telling me, hey, you don't need any experience. Just come on board. We'll train you up. We'll get you a job. Sales job. We'll get you a job, and you could be making 6 figures in 3 months because you have exactly what we need. I've been contacted by these people on LinkedIn. I've been spammed into my email box. I've gone through the whole thing. I still get I just got contacted actually probably about a week ago by someone. Same exact thing. Hey, you used to be a teacher, you're an educator, and now you still work in the education business. And it's wonderful background for what we offer here. And you can go into a sales job and make 6 figures because that's exactly what the kind of skills that we're looking for. Okay, so there's this barrier of low qualifications, low barrier to entry, and you can go find a job like that. Well, that's attractive if you have the mindset that my skills don't transfer, or I can't find a job because I don't have the qualifications. That's an attractive offer, but that's what they prey on. By the way, I've talked about this before, and I'll talk about it forever because it's one of the fundamental beliefs that I have here with Teach No More. The idea that you don't qualify for other things is absolutely, completely not true. It is the complete opposite of the actual truth. That as a teacher, you're more qualified than almost every other candidate for a lot of positions. Not the super specific C-level positions, but a lot of positions. You just need to know how to market yourself to get there. So what are some of the problems that happen when you do use these sites? Well, the first problem, and I've talked a bit about this already, is that there's this abundance of low quality leads that end up happening. So sure, you get tons of leads, right? You might find yourself with 6, 7 interviews in a 2-week span. You might find that the people to whom you're reaching out are contacting you back much more readily, and they're much more available than the other industries and other places that you've tried, okay? And that feels great. But the problem is that those leads might be low quality leads. I don't know if you've seen the movie Glengarry Ross, but it's a really well done movie back in the early 90s, and it has Alec Baldwin in one of the greatest monologues of all time, and right off the bat too. Perfect. So in the movie, they talk a lot about these leads, and Alec Baldwin has a sales team, and he gives them all box of leads, and it's their job to contact the leads and try to sell whatever it is they're selling, right? And the contention is that the sales team keeps saying, these are poor leads. We can't sell to these people because they're not actually interested, or we've talked to them a dozen times, or they don't have money, or whatever the problem is, right? And Alec Baldwin's character keeps telling them, you know, it's not the leads that's the problem, it's you guys that's the problem. You can't sell. That's the issue. I could sell to them if I wanted to, but I've already done this. I'm the rich person, you're the peon. It's your job to go sell. That's the contention of the movie, right? Now, all along, it turns out that the people, the sales team, are actually correct. These leads are awful leads, okay? And probably no one could sell to them. He gives them all these leads, they go off and do the thing, and the movie happens, right? So the point is that these leads are poor leads. If you have poor leads, you can't do anything with them. The problem is that these leads are poor leads. And if you have poor leads, you can't do anything with them. No matter how good you are, there's nothing that you can do to turn the circumstances of what that lead is. And the problem with ZipRecruiter and other sites like it is that they provide you with many of these poor leads, right? So for example, if you get contacted about an interview in an MLM, right? Or someone reaches out to you and says, hey, Greg, we know that you have this great experience and all of your skills match up, and we really want to talk to you because you're the type of person that excels in our industry or in our profession or in our business, at our company, whatever it is, okay? That sounds great. Hey, I got contacted. I got an opportunity. This is amazing. If I just play my cards right, if I say the right things, if my resume looks right, if I have the interview correctly, I can turn this into a job. That's not teaching, right? But that's not true. It was never going to happen because it's a poor lead. Well, I guess it could happen if you wanted to work for a company that you don't want to work for, okay? It's a poor lead. You can't make juice out of it. It's a bad lemon. Lemonade's never going to happen unless you just like rotten lemonade. So, similarly to that, what happens with these, and the reason that you don't want to use these sites, is because it leads into bad interviews. There's a lot to be said about going on an interview for interview experience. And if you are less experienced in the workplace, maybe you just graduated college last year, maybe you're a first-year teacher, or maybe you only had the one job and it was something that you only interviewed for 2 schools and you just happened to get this job and you've worked there for 10 years and you haven't been on an interview since. If you haven't been on an interview in a long time, or you just think my interview skills are a dumpster fire, there is something to be said about the experience of going on an interview just to get comfortable with it. But a lot of times, poor leads means poor interviews. So, for example, I went on an interview once and I knew it was a bad lead. It came from ZipRecruiter, okay? And no, I'm not just making this video because I had one bad ZipRecruiter experience and now I'm jaded and I'm gonna trash them. That is not why I'm making this video. If you want to go on ZipRecruiter and find out your experience, please be my guest. In fact, in the comments, please leave some of your experiences with sites such as ZipRecruiter, and how have things turned out? What is the best experience you've had? What is the worst experience you have? I'm really interested in hearing some of the worst experiences, because I think I really suspect that a lot of people have poor experiences with these sites. So I went on this interview, and even though I knew it was a poor lead and that there probably wasn't going to be much out of it, I wanted some interview experience. I wanted to practice what I was learning and what I was trying to figure out about my own interview ideology. And so I went on this. The interview itself ended up being worthless. I mean, it was a worthless interview. Sat me down, a little bit of small talk, great, fine. Asked me a few questions that were not very good questions. So do you like to work hard? Okay, what do you do with that? What question, right, in an interview? Yes, I do. I mean, you're not going to say no. I actually hate working. I wish I never had to do it, right? No one's going to say that. Another question was, so this is a demanding job, or are you prepared to put a lot of effort into it? Yes, sure. I mean, it was just a weird interview. And there was no connection, that nothing really happened. And I left the interview and I realized I didn't learn anything. I didn't practice any interview skills. I didn't get more comfortable in an interview. I didn't get to try out what I developed into my interview system. I didn't get to do any of that. I just kind of sat in a room and answered a few questions for 15, 20 minutes, and then I left. And it was a waste of my time. I got all dressed up, I traveled out there, I went to the interview, I traveled back. I got my hopes up, even though, as I said, I knew it wasn't gonna pan out. You still always get your hopes up a little bit, right? and it was just a waste of my time. So I don't think that it's conducive to go on these things. I think at the end, the negative outcome is actually worse than just not even bothering with it. So I think that's another reason that you don't want to do these, is it just poor leads leads to poor interviews. So the last thing that's going to happen when you sign up for these is they're going to send you a ton of emails. Now, if you are using your business email, I will link the video to that here. I have a video talking about why you need to set up a professional email for your job search and how to do it. So check that video out, because it's going to help you out a great deal. If you've set that up and now you have signed up for ZipRecruiter or another site and you've used that professional email as you should, suddenly your nice clean email is now getting bombarded with spam. So if you use your professional email for one of these sites and you get bombarded with spam, then you've basically broken one of the reasons that you would set up a professional email in the first place, not to have a crowded inbox, right? But more than that, when you start to get bombarded with all these spam emails and these low quality job listings, and after you kind of understand how to read through these job descriptions, jobs that you think I'm not interested in this anyways, right? And they just keep coming at you every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day, honestly. You start to get exhausted with looking at them. And what ends up happening is that you start not wanting to take part in your job search. And your job hunt becomes more tedious and more stressful than it already might be. And that's not a good place to be at when you desperately want to get out of teaching and find something else. You don't want to be sitting around feeling like, I really can't stand this job search. I'm getting tired of all these horrible offers. It starts to turn your perception of what's actually out there. And you start thinking, maybe teaching's not the worst place. I really don't want to do it anymore. I'm feeling burnt out, and I just can't sleep at night, but it's better than the alternative. Well, that's not necessarily true. The alternative might be amazing, but your perception has been turned because you've been bombarded with all these poor offers. So those are some of the reasons that you don't want to use ZipRecruiter and other sites such as ZipRecruiter. You'll find them out there, but instead of listing them all down, which is going to be probably a long list, instead, how about if I just tell you what actually to use, and that's a much shorter list and much easier. So let's do that now. Don't spread yourself too thin. You really only need 2 sites. In fact, that's not quite accurate. You only need 1 site. And if I'm being honest, you don't need any sites. You could get a job that you love, that's perfect for you, that's an amazing job, and never use a site. Honestly, the role that I have now, I didn't use a site for it. So you don't actually need any job site at all to find your next career and move out of teaching. But since that's where most people start, and in the interest of not making this a 3-hour video, right? Let's just say that the places that you want to look are LinkedIn and Indeed. And I would do it in that order, personally. If you flip it, it's not a big deal. I think there's a bit more to LinkedIn, that it's a little bit easier to target and filter out the poor offers. And I find that there's a bit less poor offers on LinkedIn than there is Indeed, but Indeed is a bit more robust in its ability to search. If you know what you're doing, Indeed is probably more powerful. If you're looking for a bit more simplicity and straightforwardness, LinkedIn is your answer. But you don't need to go off those 2 platforms. That's it. That's everything you need. LinkedIn, Indeed, done. Stay on those and do your job search on those. So again, stay off of ZipRecruiter. Don't go on it. Just if you're on it already, cancel your account. You're going to get tons of spam emails after you cancel your account. In fact, you can go on Google and look this up. Look up, I tried to cancel my ZipRecruiter account and they won't let me cancel it. And you're going to find dozens and dozens and dozens of forums filled with people talking about how they're still getting spam emails from ZipRecruiter because they won't leave their system. And I believe, if I remember right, I haven't looked this up in probably a year, but I think there was a lawsuit or something that was brought against ZipRecruiter because they won't cancel people's account. But I'm sure some people have found good things about ZipRecruiter. Use it at your peril, and use other sites such as ZipRecruiter at your peril, and spread yourself thin at your peril. But take it from me, stick to LinkedIn, stick to Indeed. It's going to help you out. All right. If you find this useful, there's a few things that would really help me out a lot and will help other teachers out as well. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. That's going to help put this content out to more teachers and help them understand how to go about their job search a little bit more. And you can hit the notification bell if you want to be notified every time I put up a new video, which is once a week. Also in the description, I will link the other video to setting up your professional email as well. That's all I have for you guys today. Take care, and I will see you on the next video.